All right, so what's going on, guys? So we're back here with another layout tutorial. This is going to be kind of more of an addendum to the previous tutorial I just put out. Now, I was recently asked to do a combo video for Leo, or at least a video touching on his combos. I don't generally like doing combo videos. The reason why is because I feel like it gets newer players to focus on the wrong things. Because while yes, it is good to know how to do the max damage combo, there is a problem if you can't deliver that combo. So because I am a man of the people, here is the Leo combo video, an addendum to my Leo tutorial. Now, the first thing I want to go over is an amendment to the tutorial video. I did show a couple times H flash kick and then using 214S as a meaty. I did not realize that has been changed. I was reading the patch notes last night and I saw that the recovery for H flash kick has been reduced. So 214S is no longer going to hit meaty off of an H flash kick. However, I do get counter hits all the time when I have the dummy set to throw, so that was kind of my mistake. For those instances, just use close slash. It works just the same and you don't have to worry about any side switch shenanigans. So like I said, I don't generally like doing combo videos, but what I do like discussing is the combo roots and the kind of the theory that goes into them. So that's kind of what we're going to be focused on. Now, with that being said, this is not going to be an exhaustive list because honestly, we could be here forever just discussing the optimal max damage routes. So a couple things that I just want you guys to keep in mind while watching this video. 9 times out of 10, you are going to want to route some way into backturn stands. However, that will change if you do land a wall splat because 9 times out of 10, you're just going to want to take the wall break so that way you can get your resources back. Number 2, as a reminder, Leo's backturn should be looked at as a way to tack on extra damage as a reward rather than a stance you are going to want to keep in for the whole game. Again, this is because Leo lacks a lot of defensive options in the stance outside of his dust. That being said, we are going to be covering Leo's backturn vortex, so don't worry, you are going to have plenty of opportunity to be in backturn. And finally, 2.0 Leo has seen a lot of combo route changes. For instance, in previous patches, you used to be able to do 5H into 214S, and that would be his main way of getting into backturn. However, this is no longer possible as Arxis has made changes to 5H, so you will no longer be able to combo into 214S. You'll more than likely need to spend meter to reliably get good Oki and backturn pressure now, or you're going to have to commit to unsafe combo routes, but honestly, we can't all be happy chaos, so that's fine with me. Now, first, we're going to be discussing his easy combos. These are going to be low commitment combos that don't require a whole lot of execution or things you have to keep in mind or even meter usage. However, the downside of this is the reward on them is not going to be nearly as good. These combos will consist of some sort of starter that will end in 236S. I want you to think of these simple combo routes as building blocks, things that you can explore so that way you can build on them for later. So first combo we're going to take a look at is Leo's 5P into 5P into 236S. This is a quick hit confirm off your jab. Your primary use for this is going to be whenever you're mashing out of your opponent's pressure. Again, this is a low commitment combo, therefore you're going to get low reward. The next one that we're going to take a look at is Leo's 5K or his 2K into 6K, and we're going to end with 236S. This is a simple 5K conversion. It gives you good corner carry, and it's relatively safe due to the potential of frame trapping and hit confirming. It can be Gatlinged into Leo's 2D, however, I don't advise doing this unless you know 2D is going to hit due to the fact that Leo's 2D is unsafe and unable to be special cancelled. Next up, we have Far Slash into 5H, ending with 236S. This is a long-range combo. You can use this in neutral, and it's relatively safe as well just due to the spacing of it. Another trick that you can use is you can also start this combo with 5H, Gatling into Far Slash, and then end in 236S. Again, due to the spacing, it does make this relatively safe. The next one that we're going to talk about is Close Slash into 2S, 5H into 236S. Because it comes off of Close Slash, it gives you a lot of opportunity for different things, like doing a combo or setting up for tick throws like I discussed in my previous video. That being said, again, all of these combos are going to give you the lowest amount of reward for the least amount of risk. It is worth noting that, again, 236S is generally a very low reward ender by itself. Because of the pushback on this, you don't get a whole lot of Oki setup. It just resets you back to neutral, and you don't really have an opportunity for any backturn setups. Anytime that you land 236S and have at least 50% tension, you can Roman cancel it for follow-ups. This will increase the damage tremendously and give you much better corner carry. Here's a very simple follow-up using meter that you can try. Some of you might have been thinking that you could just end combos with 236H to get a reset into Backturn. Now, this will work about 80 to 90% of the time. However, if you watched my previous Leo guide, you would know that this is incredibly prone to getting thrown, and as you climb in the ranks, people are going to be looking out for this more and more. That being said, I am not the Leo police. Do with that information what you will. Next, we're going to be looking at Leo's core combos. These combos are going to be a little bit harder than the easier variants. They're going to require more execution and position and awareness, as well as some counter hit confirming and things like that. However, they are going to lead to higher damage and greater reward. These are generally going to consist of comboing into 214S to enter Backturn or using his H flash kick. So the next combo that we're going to talk about is off of close slash. It's going to go close slash 2H, 214S, and hold S to enter Backturn. You're going to need to dash and then hit Backturn S, Backturn H into 214H. This one is a little tricky because you do have to manually time the dash. However, due to the changes in 5H, this is also now going to be Leo's staple combo route into 214S. Alternatively, on counter hit, 5H and 6H will also combo into 214H now. However, this will require you to confirm a counter hit first. You can also use this combo to punish an opponent using unsafe special moves like wake up DPs on block. Also, depending on the range and if your opponent is close to the corner, you can follow up with 236H after Backturn 214H for another wall splat. This will cause tremendous damage. And honestly, if that's too hard for you, there is an easier variation. Instead of doing 214S and then dashing, you can just go straight into Backturn S and then H. You'll stance cancel by pressing down twice and then doing a dash 5k into 6k to get the wall splat. Then you can break the wall with super or whatever you like. It doesn't do as much damage, however, you're trading off a little bit of damage for easier execution. The next real bread and butter that we're going to be talking about is Leo's 5k or his 2k into 6k, and instead of ending in 236S, we're going to be doing his H flash kick. This one is a little bit difficult. The best advice that I can give you is the moment you press 6k, you need to immediately start charging down. They have reduced Leo's charge times in 2.0. However, this is still pretty tricky even with the reduction. This is going to give you a better knockdown and has a better metered follow-up than 236S. The follow-up is going to consist of you red Roman canceling the end of his flash kick. Then you're going to do jump S, air dash, jump S again, and then hit jump D to initiate a wall bounce. Then, once you land, you're going to hit 2S and then end with whatever ender you'd like to break the wall. My only tip on that is try to keep Kai as high as possible, otherwise the jump D is going to whiff. This is a simple flash kick red Roman cancel combo. It does end in a wall bounce loop, and you can break the wall again with a super or whatever you have available to you. That being said though, you do want to keep in mind that when you perform a red Roman cancel and break the wall, you do get a meter gain penalty. All right, so next combo that we're going to take a look at is this anti-air 5B combo. This one's going to be kind of difficult, I'm not going to lie. But what you're going to do is anti-air with 5P, dash, hit close slash into 2H, then cancel into 214S and hold S. You're going to dash again and hit Backturn kick, slash, heavy slash, end with 214H. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, that combo is pretty hard. However, you get great reward off of that. It is worth noting that these are the main routes that you're going to take in combos. Straight counter hits, particularly 5H, 6H, and 2D, will have routing into 214S, and occasionally H flash kick respectively. I highly encourage you, however, to explore in training mode with these basic ideas in mind, and hey, you might actually find an optimal route. All right, so this is the part where we're going to talk about Leo's corner loop. Now, Leo has a loop in this game where whenever he hits an airborne opponent with his 5H, he'll cause a wall bounce, as shown here. Now, in order to perform the corner loop, generally what you're going to have to do is do some combo that ends in 5H in order to get them to bounce off the wall. Then you're going to delay slightly, hit 2S and then 5H, and then you're going to do that one more time and end with 214S. Generally speaking, you're going to get about 3 reps of this before they wall stick. However, this can change depending on the wall damage, number of hits, your spacing, etc. A simple loop would look something like this.
Just a show of force, that's all.
All right, and the last thing that we're going to be going over is Leo's backturn vortexes, the backturn schmicks. Anywho, so backturn vortexes are generally more about resetting your opponent for further loops rather than just doing big damage combos. Your big cash outs are going to come when your opponent's forced into the corner, and you're going to end with Backturn 214H, Blitzschlag, or you're going to end with his super. Now, that being said, Backturn loops generally are going to look the same regardless of how you start. A lot of the times you're going to either be starting it with Backturn K because it's an unseeable low, or Backturn H because of the overhead and getting them into the 50-50. But just to give you an example of what a simple Backturn Vortex combo is going to look like, you're going to do Backturn K, Backturn S, Backturn H, and then you're going to stance cancel. You're going to dash up, do close slash into 214S and hold, and return to Backturn. It's going to look something like this. Alternatively, instead of using close slash, you can actually use 2H into 214S. It does give you better damage, and it'll still set your opponent up for a 50-50 left-right mix or even a tick throw, but this one is just the easier one to use. Once you're in the corner, however, it's better to use 214H as your ender instead of going for the full combo. Another thing that's really nice about this combo route is it really works from anywhere in the combo, so you can start with Backturn slash or Backturn H respectively, and it'll still work the same. Now, there is going to be a difference because if you do Backturn kick, you are going to have to adjust the combo. You're going to have to, instead of using close slash, use 2S instead. It's also worth noting that technically any of these combos can also be ended with 236H, which will result in a side switch. This can either be useful or hurt you depending on your screen positioning and what you're trying to do. Also, again, generally speaking, 214H or Backturn Super is going to be the best ender here. You can, however, also stance cancel to get corner loops for extra swag points. That being said, though, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, this isn't supposed to be a comprehensive combo video, but instead it's supposed to be something to give you a baseline and something that you can take into training mode and work with yourself. There are other resources out there. Of course, you can always check the Leo Discord. You can even actually check the combo recipes in the game itself. Like I said, that is everything. Again, if you have any questions or anything like that, of course, I'm always happy to help you guys, but I appreciate your time once again, and remember, ape together strong.